ultimately, what are we doing all our life? Someone's teaching us.
We don't want to be a nation of clerks, right? We want a nation of people who are generating ideas. A lot of the value creation and the wealth generation that the country needs must come from entrepreneurs. Trust has to be earned, and it is not easy to earn trust. People who don't do well in a startup are pure people managers.
Yeah.
Okay, administrators.
Ashwin Saway on this episode, co-founder and COO of Biofuel Circle. Ashwin started his career in oil trading and risk management. And today, he's helping farmers, biofuel producers, industrial buyers, and logistics players for everything related to biofuel. This episode explores many topics. We spoke about lack of honesty at workplace, how corporate managers fail in startups, culture, Gen Z, millennials, all these things, and how India is generating more and more unemployable students coming out of educational factories. My name is Anirudh. I used to be that person who thought I had to be available 24/7 to be successful. But it was not sustainable and it definitely wasn't making me happy. That's when I quit, started Superwork, and now I make podcasts. Let's start the episode with Ashwin Saway. Ashwin, tell me one thing. This, and correct me if I'm wrong, the most common thing जो मैंने आजकल सुनी है with my friends who are, in top management, people who are working in startups, people who are working in big corporates and middle management. One thing is a recurring conversation, which is honesty. So, as an AG, people are being like absolutely dishonest, but in general, no one's trusting of each other. So, honesty has become a very rare currency in terms of when an employer says कि हमारा working hours is 9 to 5, that 5 o'clock the office, no one checks out. Versus when an employee commits कि I'll only work with you, no one does that. People moonlight. And there could be reasons. We're not saying that we are sitting here and judging you. But honesty has become a rare currency. What's your POV?
Yeah, I would agree with you. And in the drive or the chase for success, in whichever way you define it, you often take shortcuts. You sacrifice a few values at times, and that's where you enter into these gray areas, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I do agree. It's difficult to be black and white, but honesty or being true to what were your values, what were your mission, is really important there, and it reflects in everything that you do. So when you talk of business and the examples that you gave you, or even in what you do as business, right? Do you ship out product which is which is not really working? How do you earn the trust of the customers? I met a gentleman some weeks ago, and not very highly educated guy, but runs a very large business. And he gave me a very interesting perspective. And he said this in Hindi, and he said that customer है ना मासूम होता है. It is your responsibility. So he says the customer is innocent. It is your responsibility to present the truth to the customer. Very powerful concept. Comes from a person, not an MBA, not an engineer, self-made person.
Real
but it stayed me. Real valuable insight. For a founder, it was very powerful for me to hear that.
Correct. In fact, you've also seen instances like that when we were talking about Biofuel Circle.
Yeah.
Initial period mein when you were building trust with farmers and people in the villages,
True.
Trust is a factor that has to be built there.
Particularly, we work with farmers. What we do is there's a lot of agri residue. What remains on the farm after you've done the harvest.
Correct.
And this agri residue is wasted.
In India,
jalana padta is not necessary, but that is the shortest way to get rid of it.
Oh, okay.
That is the cheapest way to get rid of it.
That's why farmers do it.
That's why farmers do it, right? You have to pay to get it cleared. And you want to turn your field around, make it ready for the next sowing. But if you were to take this agri residue, and in India every year, more than 235 million tons of agri residue is wasted.
Correct.
It is burned or it decomposes, which is really bad. I mean, burning will release CO2, decomposing will release methane, which is, even worse greenhouse emittent. So just going back to this part of trust, right? And how do I how do I earn this farmer's trust by telling him that, don't burn it, don't get rid of it.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. I'll put it into the bioenergy supply chain, which is great for the country. It is green energy for the country, but I'll also give you money for it. Now,
Yeah.
no one will trust you. So,
Correct.
so it has to be earned. It has to be earned by demonstrating what you do, by being prompt, by being honest about what you have promised,
Yeah.
and it's earned the hard way by doing the difficult things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Amazing. And of course, I mean, when you're doing business, India may, of course, I think honesty, once you build that brand and once you build that key, you value honesty, then I think it's a smooth sail. But वो शुरुआत का journey for any company, be it a startup or a bigger
Yeah.
organization, थोड़ा सा tough रहता है. And in general, inculcating that value, inside an organization, being honest, being true to, each other as well, थोड़ा tough होता है. This is your first startup.
Yeah, first startup, and compared to the average founder, me and my co-founder started this very late, at the end of long enough corporate careers, and so we are very unlikely kind of founders there. Not the 20 somethings.
In the startup world, you're the baby boomers.
We are the baby boomers. Okay, that's a nice way of putting it. But the advantage that gave us was that we are not chasing valuation. We are not chasing some fame. Our perspective is create something that is enduring, create an institution which does well by doing good. So that is the honest dimension that comes in. And what attracted both of us to this, and for me as well, was here is an opportunity where you can build a business, you can build a conventional profitable business, but at the same time cause a significant social impact, economic impact in villages, generate business opportunity there, provide green energy for industry, and reduce energy dependency of the country. So for me, that's an element of honesty, right? You do good, and in the process, you're not doing charity.
Yeah.
I'm a business. I have shareholders, investors to answer to, and you do well, but at the same time, you do good.
Yeah. Amazing. And coming to startup, and you're building your team. कितने लोग हैं अभी? 50?
So we are actually 80 people
80
across
people,
the country now.
Across the country now.
Yeah.
Okay. But tell me one thing. See, the idea of this YouTube channel is to share honest ideas, insights, conversations about work-life success. So somehow there are a lot of misconceptions कि startup में काम कैसा रहता है. एक तो startup में लोग आते हैं not because कुछ experience चाहिए, पैसा फटाफट मिल सकता है if the valuation goes up, this and that. Now you've said you're तो not chasing valuation, so you're being honest.
Yeah, but look, I have my responsibility to my shareholders as well.
Of course.
Right? And to that end, I have to grow the business, and in the process, will derive value.
Correct.
Right? You have to chase the right thing. The right thing is to grow the business, to do it well, and valuation is a result of that.
Correct. But लोगों को वो दिखता है ना कि अरे startup है तो पैसा मिलेगा. And actually there have been cases where people have become like millionaires. Like, and I'm talking not rupees, dollars.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
And Indian people, either in India or US.
Sure. And I think it's a good thing that, look, this is a great way to create value, to create wealth. We talk about India's demographic dividend, right? It's not going to get utilized by large companies building factories. I mean, of course, that's a way. A lot of the value creation and the wealth generation that the country needs must come from entrepreneurs. It must come from ideas. It must come from generating ways for people to become part of this, for people to contribute and get paid for it.
Yes.
So to that end, there's nothing wrong in saying that my objective in working with a startup is to derive value for myself. You contribute, you'll get compensated, you'll get valued. Startups offer great, good means of doing that. But people come with a lot of with a very wrong notion, saying that you can make a lot of money in a startup, and 9 out of 10 startups will fail.
Correct.
Okay, uh, you're here for the money. I'm perfectly fine with it, but do well, contribute, do honest work, and that's how the rewards come to you.
Correct.
You said people have these ideas and so on, and there was a time when startups found it difficult to attract talent.
Yeah.
I call it the mother-in-law factor.
What's that?
So someone graduating, finishing studies, and wants to join a big brand, wants to join a large company, a company that is in the news. Why? Because they're when they go for their marriage market, the mother-in-law, you can tell them that I work for this big company, and they know what that company is, right? I work for this startup you've never heard of, but it's a promising company. They don't know that.
करते क्या हो भाई?
करते क्या हो? Right? कौन सी company?
Yeah.
So we've crossed that stage.
Correct.
But come to a startup if you want to really discover what you're capable of. Okay, if you want to expand the breadth of your experience and the depth of your experience, if you want to really expand that, that's the right person in a startup. If you're willing to do just about anything. Okay, why? Because the opportunity will come your way. When you're starting your career, or when you're a few years into your work, and you may or may not have figured out what you want to do, and that's where a startup really helps, right? Because you're wearing multiple hats, you get the opportunity to do that.
Correct.
And you may never know, this is something that you studied for, but what you like and what you enjoy doing could be something very different.
True.
So you can actually change jobs without changing your jobs in a startup.
Correct. You can
Right.
handle multiple profiles.
Profiles. Yeah.
I don't have the patience to work in a startup now. I consider myself too old for startup culture now. But I'm somehow I've quit that fast-paced life. So maybe that could be one reason. But so tell me the reality of working in a startup as well. So
Okay.
you're saying that, you could handle multiple profiles. And of course, there are a lot of people who have that capacity, who have that understanding.
True.
In fact, Raman, who will be the next guest, now mentors, of course, he's, done and been there, done that, everything. Now he coaches executives. He's donned so many hats. So he's been a CFO, CHRO, CEO. So बंदा भी वैसा चाहिए. मतलब not
Yes.
every player in a team is
Yes.
an all-rounder.
Yes.
तो वो एक होता है. But reality of working in a startup, कि, are there long hours? Are there... चलो pay तो ठीक है. Pay तो it's a very separate topic. Long hours, working with teams, doing a lot more than what your skill set is.
Yes.
Who should join a startup? Who shouldn't?
Yes. So that's a good point, and I think you've identified some of the key elements there. So long hours happen because you are committed. You have bought into the dream, and they will happen because there's just a lot to do.
अभी तो season time है आप लोग
अभी
का.
तो season time है, right? We have our teams working, from 7 in the morning to 7 in the night, and yeah, they're doing this because they believe in what they're doing.
After the season ends, it's not back to normal.
It's back to normal.
Achha,
It's back to normal. But they believe in what they're doing. So I'm myself traveling there in a couple of days, and yeah, that will be my schedule for the next few days. So that's the long hours, right? It happens because you enjoy what you're doing. You have a sense of purpose. You want to get it done. You want to get it done. So that's the kind of people who will do well in a startup. You take ownership. You're not. Nobody needs to tell you that do this. Nobody. If someone is chasing you to do this, and if you feel that, then you're not really cut out for a startup.
But वो बंदे का buy नहीं रहेगा तो फिर वो नहीं sustain
नहीं
करेगा.
होगा. So let me give you an example, right? A fresher who joined us straight out of college, and his colleague, or his actually classmate, joined a large IT services company. Okay, and this colleague of mine, my team member, I hired him. every day would be something different, right? Every day he is working with different kind of problems. He was in the product team. He was doing QA, so he's learning something new, and he took upon himself to reach out, solve if someone has someone has even a problem with his laptop, he would solve it. So you know that's ownership, right? That's
correct.
enjoying what you're doing.
Correct.
And compare this with his classmate who joined a large IT services company. I won't name who.
Obviously,
Whose only job was in the morning run an SQL query, generate the results, transform them, format them in a certain way, and send them to somebody else.
That's it.
Every single day, Monday to Friday.
और उसका कुछ तो भी प्रोफाइल रहेगा, बिजनेस एनालिस्ट एंड व्हाट नॉट, लाइक
फैंसी टाइटल है, फैंसी टाइटल, फैंसी कंपनी.
बिजनेस एनालिस्ट, प्लीज डोंट माइंड, वी जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ एग्जांपल वी यूज्ड योर टाइटल.
Don't mind. Fancy title, fancy company, probably fancy pay, fancy perks.
हाँ, वो तो रहेगा,
office canteen, nice food and
Correct,
all.
correct.
But how is that enriching yourself? How is that enriching your capabilities?
वो वुड बी मदर इन लॉ को बताने के लिए अच्छा है.
Would be lucky, अच्छा. But what you need, or the people who thrive well in a startup, are people who are high agency. When I look for
define high agency, like for everyone
so these
who
are
doesn't know
people
the
who
term.
are eclectic, people who have varied interest. Sometimes people who might outright sound crazy, and this doesn't appear on the resume, by the way. Okay, so this you got to figure out by talking to them, right? So this is the kind of people who will do well. People think they will do well, but when they approach a startup, people think that yeah, I can manage this. But unless you have this, right? Unless so when I look at what is your hobby? Is it most people write hobbies? I play cricket, I travel. Okay, that's the worst hobbies according to me.
Everyone in
Nothing
India does
against
that.
Nothing against that. But how does that make you interesting? And if you do these many different things, right, then you're open to new ideas. You're a problem solver. You are able to handle multiple streams of information, and you're able to extract something meaningful from it. People who don't do well in a startup are pure people managers.
Yeah.
Okay. Administrators. Look, I mean, a company is going to grow from being this chaotic bunch of people into more structure as it expands, as it grows. And it will need structure, it will need process, of course. But even then, if you are somebody who only assigns works, reviews work, follows up, then you won't really succeed in a startup.
Correct.
Maybe in a mature, large organization, sure, and you'll be a great person who gets work done. But I'm not sure if that kind of profile
will be
right in a.
But so good you mentioned this whole people manager thing. That's a classic problem, na, Indian corporates में कि जो अच्छा काम करता है, this bugger will get promoted. Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So if you say a software company, right? So a good developer, a great developer, a great coder is suddenly made a manager.
हाँ, team leader बन गया.
Team leader बन गया.
हाँ, but
right? उसको people management किसने सिखाया?
Correct. Zero.
So zero. And people management will not come from an MBA course that you did and some papers that you took, or some projects that you did.
I mean, you can't learn driving by reading a book, right? I mean, you have to
sit in the car and
drive.
Sit in the car, and you have to scrape your car once, and so that will teach you, and that will kind of prepare you.
Correct.
So that. We were talking of. I lost that train of thought. So we were talking of
people managers.
Right? And people managers are they learn on the job, no doubt. And larger structured organizations will have training and employee development, management development programs, and so on. But we don't really equip our graduates with something like that.
Correct.
These are the skills.
Zero.
Which which college really equips yourself to deal with what you end up handling or dealing in a large team
Correct.
or
Correct.
even any group of people that you
Yeah.
manage.
Yeah.
Right.
But वो स्टार्टअप में ऐसा लोग नहीं सर्वाइव कर पाएगा.
Pure people managers, no.
हाँ
Yeah.
मतलब ओनली
Uh,
टास्क मास्टर्स कि
Only
हाँ बस ये
taskmasters.
करके ये तू
No,
ये कर
not
तू ये
really.
कर.
Not really.
हाँ
Not
क्रिएटिंग
really.
एक्सेल शीट्स.
Creating Excel sheets, tracking, this much work was happened, presenting, saying I did this, and
Correct.
you may make great reports and you may track a lot of things
Yeah.
that you have done so far, but did you produce the result that you're looking for?
So true.
Yeah.
In fact, I have seen the worst kind.
Uh-huh.
Like चलो वो तो people managers तो चलो at least that one skill is there. I've come across people, of course I'm not going to mention the organization. I've seen people who are not only like just okay with their job. When they were made boss, it was not even their vertical and they didn't have people skills. So like a person absolutely lost, right? So a creative person when gets made like a boss,
Yeah.
right? You need to, the first skill that is required is being a salesman.
Yes.
Like you need to think like your client.
Yes.
कि client को क्या
Yes.
चाहिए? And creative people are like, boss, this is not my cup of tea. I will do what I want.
True.
And you
True.
can't be asking money from people and also say कि मैं तो अपनी मन की करूँगा.
True. So interesting perspective. And you look at this industry, right? Look at the new age industry. Let's call it the new age industry. And for us, for Indians, right, progress would mean that I went from being a trainee or an analyst or an engineer to a manager and then a senior manager and a general manager. So getting the manager tag is progress.
Correct.
Are we ready for someone who's a great designer but doesn't want to manage people?
हाँ, correct.
Right?
Correct.
And this person could be, in his late 40s, into 50s. How does society accept him, saying that you are something who is doing well at what you're doing?
Correct.
You're probably getting paid well.
Yeah, do that. Keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
You're enjoying what you're doing. Doesn't have to be that you need to be you need to get a team, manage a bunch of people.
The false sense of success that you get by becoming a manager.
By getting these titles, right?
टाइटल से सब कुछ है.
Title से सब कुछ
But
है.
I've seen it, by the way. मतलब इज्जत का फालूदा करते हैं लोग. And
True.
again, this is even bigger in like especially Gulf. See, the amount of respect you drive, and again, nothing against them. See, when you're interacting with people across the world in a place, like a place like Dubai, a place like Qatar, a place like Bahrain, all these Gulf countries. So, इंडिया में चलो ठीक है ना, शक्ल देख के आदमी पता चल जाता है कि कितना पानी में है, कितना ऊपर है, क्या है. But when you're meeting people from across the world, what decides, how pally you get them at a certain level. See, after you go a particular level up, you start deciding ki, who should be in my inner circle. So you see the title and decide, is this person worth talking to?
True.
And I've seen this in the past when I've gone for meetings with my colleagues, teammates, juniors.
True.
The amount of attention I used to get versus them in two different meetings was completely different.
True.
It's very interesting and see how, obviously people also feel, because I'm there, things are happening. It's just the title, it's not you. So,
yeah, I mean, in hierarchical societies like ours, the titles matter. And when people come to work in startups, startups have created this fancy titles as well, like correct. What, I don't know.
Akela banda kaam kar raha hai, he's the CEO.
He's the CEO. Yeah,
that's there.
But in India, you have to be cognizant in dealing with some of these countries, some of these cultures. You need to carry that title because your title announces you before you reach. It opens doors for you.
Correct.
So yes, that's
title
important.
Correct. But
that's
the fake
important.
titles I hate. Like ये जो middle management को गाजर दिखा के you get instead of a promotion, okay, we'll promote you.
We'll give you a title.
मतलब manager, senior manager, काम same है.
काम same है.
So it's just that you're senior manager now. So वो एक है. But so that's the thing, company का culture एक तो ground से ऊपर build up होता है. In fact, if you remember, we were talking about a few banks
right.
of how like a person sitting on the ground, जो He's the front runner.
Right.
He's leading your company from the
Right.
front.
Right.
Literally, even a call center employee, जो insights वो बंदा दे सकता है, that person can give. वो CEO को भी नहीं पता चलेगा. Because that person is speaking to some 400 odd people every day. I'll give you an example, by the way. I actually don't remember. I think this was on a podcast only I heard. It was an example of Amazon, I think, if I'm not wrong. The call center employees, like the executives who speak to customers for resolving complaints, even they have a lot of insights. They actually, when they see a name flash and the product, they know ये किस चीज का complaint करने के लिए आया है. The customer executives know the product so well कि when they see a person calling with this product as a buyer, they know कि इसका ये complaint रहेगा, वो ये बोलेगा, ये मांगेगा. They already know it, but they can't do anything. They just follow the procedure. But sometimes all these companies, mature companies like even Amazon, if I remember what podcast, I'll definitely send you that episode also.
I would love to hear that. So
They have the right to pass on the message, and they have the right to take a decision then and there. For example, they have the right to delist the product. If a product is getting complaints,
too many of them,
they have the right to delist it, saying ki we are stopping the sales.
So this is a great example of a customer-centric process that delivers great delight to customer. Okay, you could be slaves to a process. Like I'll give you examples of banks in India.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have a lovely relationship with banks. Yeah.
Okay. So here this example. Okay. Electronic payments, right? Everyone's now aware of electronic payments. Correct. And it's now available 24/7, RTGS, NEFT, IMPS, all, UPI. We've done great progress. But these are peer-to-peer or, customer to business kind of payment. That's why I can shop for something at midnight and make a payment and it can be done, right? I can renew my insurance or whatever. But this hasn't come down to businesses. When businesses make payments to businesses, we use a large bank and we use their network net banking processes for payments, which involve approvals and so on.
Is it? So, what kind of approvals?
So when you have levels of approvals, right? Again, process, right? One person cannot just pick anything. So let's say if you want to pay more than X lakh rupees, two people have to approve. And these processes are coded into the bank system. But funnily, these systems, they don't work on alternate weekends when the banks are closed. Hey, this is electronic process. Why would that not be available 24/7?
Yeah, that's weird. Every alternate Saturday,
Sunday and on national holidays, this so-called net banking or e-net processes, they are shut down or they have some limits and so on.
Don't tell me there's a person behind.
Yeah, I don't know. It makes me worried, right? Maybe there's a person behind who's watching all of this and saying, "Okay, acha, ye payment kar do." So
this is literally
we made great progress.
Sarkari holiday kind of a thing. Saturday, Sunday off.
On customer side, why not on business side? So this is being slave to a process.
Yeah.
Okay. Now compare this against a process that I heard of in Singapore Changi Airport, and they have let's call it a process, or they have an OKR, okay, which says that from the gate of the aircraft to the taxi stand will not take you more than 13 minutes.
1-3.
Okay, I may be wrong. Maybe it's 15 minutes or whatever. But it's the order of magnitude is that.
Crazy.
Right? Exit, immigration, luggage, taxi stand. Damn. Great example of a process that delivers customer delight.
Door to door.
Door to door, right?
Airplane ka
door to taxi ka door. Barabar? Abhi, Singapore Airport, of course, is a commercial entity. Its business would be that, it wants millions of passengers to use it and people to come to Singapore, which earns through tourism and so on and so forth.
Correct.
But that's not the goal or that's not the target given to people who are executing this, right? What are they being told? They have a process and they have mechanisms which delivers great experience to a customer. And that customer, due to the great experience, comes back. or
Correct.
transits through that airport,
Or at least feels good
or
about it.
at least feels good about it, and like me talks about to on a podcast, which probably will inspire many more to go and check out something like this,
True. True.
right? So how do you create a process that works towards a corporate objective, yeah, but uses customer centricity as the means to deliver it? And so the example that you gave, right, where a call center support person who's probably way down the line is empowered to take a decision which delivers great experience to
Correct.
a customer.
कितना
Okay.
power है.
Power, and these are the people who are at the forefront. They are actually the name and the face of your organization. So when you said Amazon, right? Amazon is not this entity in the cloud, or a delivery van, or a package, or a box. Amazon is the experience that you get when something went wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And
Would you remember this? You remember what? You remember customer experiences. You remember, you get brand experiences, especially when things go wrong.
Absolutely. In fact, see, I was speaking to Abhijit as well when he was on the podcast, and we were talking about how he made a funny point, how janitors in Mumbai are sometimes more professional. They come across as more professional than what you would see in any maybe a smaller town, or even sometimes metros mein, like some other professionals. Not that koi job chota nahi hota, but see, like, I'll tell you what, I come from media, I've been in radio. Faking a smile and appearing happy to everyone 8 hours a day is physically challenging.
Yeah, it's demanding.
You go to Mumbai airport and you see those people smile. उसका काम क्या है? He's cleaning toilets. But वो बंदा जिस तरीके से greet करता है ना, boss, like, and I'm telling you, like, because I've been in like the whole industry, we're doing voiceovers, physically demanding है, like हंसना, like smiling 8 hours a day takes a toll on you. So people at concierge, people who are in the hospitality industry, it is exhausting, dude, to look energetic, smile. घर पे problem है, पता नहीं आज mood नहीं है, not feeling well. But you can't be like disappointing to customers. No, you have to put up that face. And empowering these people is actually what takes you
to that
to
customer
the next level,
delight, right?
Like,
To that customer delight.
Makes customers happy. And see, I mean, वो एक हुई गया, and even small things matter. And talking about airports only, and Mumbai airport, in fact, I'll mention another thing. I was the happiest when I saw vending machines at Mumbai airport. So मैं मतलब कंजूस नहीं हूँ. I love eating good food, but airport का food is airport का food.
Airport food.
तो वो
Not the best.
But somehow eating at airport, I feel cheated. A dosa that I pay 100 for outside my house in a decent restaurant, उधर बॉम्बे एयरपोर्ट पे मेरे को 400 में 300 रुपए देना पड़ता है. I feel cheated कि कौन सा
क्या वैल्यू ऐड किया?
हाँ, मतलब A2 वाला घी डाल रहा है उसमें कि it's worth
suddenly double हो गया.
हाँ. So that's one. ठीक है, तुम्हारा logistics का issue रहेगा. The day vending machines were introduced and I could buy a water bottle for 10 rupees. I was like, yes. Now I like the airport. And see, it's not just me. See, not everyone is privileged traveling by airline. Someone could be just traveling once in maybe 5 years, and there's a situation where they have to travel a flight. If a person who doesn't visit an airport and is not so financially, easygoing, कि वो can afford anything and whatever without looking at the menu prices, that person will feel lost in the airport here. वो देखेगा prices देखेगा वाला ये क्या है, like उसका एक दिन का वो फैमिली का खर्चा है, eating that one dosa or eating that one sandwich.
Is it a price that you're paying for the glitz? Or
it's not even glitch, dude. It's just
so I'll give you a corollary example. So same old Mumbai airport, domestic terminal. I once flew down, and I had to go really nearby, so I took a rickshaw, and the rickshaw wala asked me 200 rupees. This is about 15 years ago, maybe more than that.
Long time back. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I said 200 rupees. So they आप flight से आए ना?
Oh wow.
So now, is it pricing a service just because you can afford to pay it,
Hmm.
or is it not doing honest business?
Correct. Correct.
And see, here technology becomes a disruptor.
Huh.
Your vending machine is technology applied
Huh.
where it has reduced the cost of providing the service
Correct.
and provided great value.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. So what we are doing also is saying, can technology level the playing field? Can technology give you this big jump in reducing or removing inefficiency?
Hmm.
And see, that is what startups need to do, or that is what you need to bring in many aspects of business that we do
Hmm.
in the country as such.
Yeah. But how's your experience been coming to
Yeah.
your employees and
Yeah,
in
yeah,
general people you've come across other startups and all? How's the mix of Gen Z and millennials in
Yeah.
your company?
Yeah.
I'm
So
assuming you're the oldest in the room. You and
yeah,
your partner.
amongst the oldest,
Huh.
and we've got great experience with the Gen Z millennials or people who are much younger.
Huh.
I'm very happy that they are not poisoned by this corporate culture by going through this few years of experience and expecting things which are unreasonable.
Hmm.
So two aspects. One, they bring in a lot of energy, no doubt. I mean, it's very obvious, but today's generation has been exposed to so much diverse inputs that their outlook, their horizons are already expanded.
Hmm.
And what you need to do is just shape it right and give direction, and they do wonders as such. At the same time, I do see a lot of unemployable students or graduates coming out.
I had the same
Yeah.
conversation with Abhishek in the last episode. Correct.
So we've created these education factories.
Correct.
Okay, engineering colleges and
Doctors.
doctors
Oh,
and management colleges and so on. And yes, there is demand. For growing economy is going to need all of that. But I don't think the education system has caught up to that. So they are just producing these engineers or managers
Yeah.
who are not exactly equipped with what needs to be successful personally or what is required for an organization to for from its employee or from its team members.
But वो perspective भी है ही नहीं ना. So I'll tell you, like,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you'll agree with me, कि all these businesses, or educational institutes exist because there's so much of demand.
Yeah.
Supply कितना किसको चाहिए, that's not a consideration because this opportunity, this funnel is so big.
Yeah. The idea is to mass produce, and then a few percentage of these would be good enough.
The best will
and
survive.
Best will survive. The rest will figure out.
Correct.
And you're done, right? Your association is over. 4 years stamped. Got your fees.
Paper मिल गया, हो गया.
Paper मिल गया. Degree मिल गया. Bye bye.
Laminate करो, रख दो.
आगे देख लो अपना.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's a challenge. And in that I have an unpopular opinion. Okay,
please.
So some people will be horrified when they hear this. The unpopular opinion is: look, these colleges are not really equipping you with what it needs to be successful. Right? You need to be successful. You need to be someone who's producing great stuff, not someone who's chasing salary or money that way. So what you need to do is learn a lot of different things, learn a lot of different skills, not necessarily learn textbooks, what the textbook is telling you. So
you're saying practical experience.
Practical experiences, wider experiences. So the unpopular opinion, my opinion is, study just enough to get passing grades.
Thank you. I've already done that. Okay, next.
Yeah, but spend more time, do an internship, pick up a skill, learn a new topic, right?
Yeah.
Learn where the industry is going, learn where technology is helping you. So give you an example, right? Nobody teaches you managing personal finances as a skill.
Yeah.
No
Seriously,
college, no school, nobody teaches you.
I've learned it so late in
Right?
my
It's the
life.
hard way. We learned it the hard way.
Hard way, matlab
Right?
crazy, yeah.
Yeah. So learn that. Learn how to manage your money.
Correct.
Right, learn how to, let's say, there are these new lot of AI agents that are coming in which will help you do data analytics. So if you're becoming a manager, you're going to be handling a lot of data. Or if you're studying,
Yeah.
even if you're an engineer, right, learn how to make use of that data, learn how to get insights from data.
Yeah.
Not some
Theories.
theories and
I've learned stats
so
in my MBA.
yeah,
Never used it in my
never
life.
deployed, right, never deployed.
Never.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the use?
Yeah. So that's what I meant, that just enough to get through.
Correct.
Unfortunately, what happens in India is at your first stage or your first threshold, you get evaluated by your marks.
And failing is not an option.
And failing is not an option.
You are
Right.
punished to fail.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
trying out, dropping out is considered
It's
a taboo.
considered a taboo. But I think that will change. It's changing already. There are avenues for self-employment. There are ways in which people are presenting themselves to companies or to startups like us. And yeah, that's what I meant by high agency people, right? People who are not in this mainstream, people who have expanded their horizons.
Correct.
And this is an employable person,
Yeah.
not a distinction holder who doesn't know a thing outside his or her textbook.
I, in fact, have a very, and in fact, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, weirdest stuff I've done in my life includes doing voiceovers in random places. Koi to bhi client hai. So, of course, I mean, in young age, money was like one attraction. But I've never said no to work. So that's one. Sorry, I'll just finish my point. I've run websites. No reason. Okay, I learned how to use WordPress. I learned how to download these plugins and buy and run domains, to doing stuff just for the sake of creativity, learning some new skills, learning photography. And what people don't realize is, you might do something today, it might come in handy after a decade.
Oh yeah.
And then after a decade, you say, oh, thank God I did this
Yeah.
10 years back.
Yeah.
आज मेरे को उसका knowledge है. Like say websites, be it audio production, video production. I've done stuff just for the sake. I've done short films, right? When I didn't have a camera. So of course includes borrowing camera from friends and doing whatever जुगाड़. तभी तो phone वाला camera भी नहीं रहता था.
हाँ.
And it comes in handy today when I'm podcasting. Like imagine there was, the term podcasting didn't exist then.
Yeah.
At least in India. Like no one knew. I'm talking like 15 years back or so.
True.
But this is, so these joining, the dots get joined automatically.
The joining of the dots is what's required now, where at the stage at where we are as a country, as a nation, as a people as well.
Yeah.
Ideas are monetized and ideas are creating value. And there is nothing wrong in seeking to do well for yourself. In the process, you are generating employment, right? You're generating, you're contributing to the GDP. You're creating value for the whole economy.
Yeah.
So what you said, right? Never say no to work. I think that's a very powerful statement, and you got to live by something like that, particularly early in your career. The joining of the dots. Let me give you my example, right? So I studied to be a mechanical engineer. Did an MBA, the traditional path in our times.
और क्या है,
Engineer
वही है,
MBA
हाँ.
करो, job मिलेगा. And for a middle class person, that's that's your traditional route. 25-30 years ago, this was not looked down upon. This was what everyone aspired to be. But I studied. I worked in the commodities domain in oil, and I always had an interest in technology. In my college days, I have written COBOL programs. I wrote a inventory management system for a wine shop in Khadki. So weird stuff, right? Yeah, so while I studied mechanical engineering, I was very comfortable with programming, with and thanks to my father, I was never afraid of opening stuff and looking at what's inside any machine, any toy, equipment.
Oh yeah, we've all done that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that commodities trading risk management went to work at the software company in the same domain, but ran essentially a software business. And then when this opportunity came along to form Biofuel Circle, it suddenly felt that all of these pieces are somehow fitting together.
Correct.
Right. I studied photography. I was a passion. I took a sabbatical in between for a few years where I pursued photography. I did all kinds of photography. Just I told you, right? I did studio shoots. I shoot astro. I shoot landscape, street. And there's one thing which that taught me is there are places where there is no Mount Everest that you climb and you say you're done. Photography is something like that. Okay.
It's just a hill that keeps.
It's just
keeps
the
on
hill
going.
that keeps growing, and see that is highly required when you're starting a new venture. You can't say that abhi ho gaya.
Correct.
Right. So you have to pursue that excellence. I'm not saying perfection. I'm saying
Correct.
excellence.
Yeah.
You have to pursue that.
Do the best what you
do
can.
the best what you can, and then learn how to do better than that. Right. It's a very off-repeated version, but better than what I was yesterday.
वो automatically होता ही है. But you have to keep doing it.
But keep doing it.
Consistency.
Consistency. And so that when you say that as you're a student in the growing years, in the early years of your career, this is more important. I see a lot of graduates doing internships, and it makes sense. It's not that they don't want to stick to a job. I think they're very sorted when they say, I want diverse experiences. And in this process, I will just be a better person who is head and shoulders above this factory of graduates that is coming out. And in the process, I might discover what I enjoy.
Correct. That's true.
And
the T-shaped skill set that you develop.
Yes.
No, you first go wide and then
you go deep.
You choose one
Pick
thing
one
and then you go deep. That's there. But those going wide also helps a lot.
Is important
because everything is connected. So
everything is connected. You will not realize, but one day it falls into place. You might say, you might be a kind of person who says that it's just a combination of coincidences, right? You might say that it's just random events, and random events come together. There is enough possibilities in the universe that they will come together. Or you might say there is a grand design that is operating.
Yeah.
And the grand design connects the dots and it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. When you see a painting, up front, like very close, you'll only see dots. When you move back and look at the larger picture, that's when
probably see, what's the grand design in that painting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, and I wish someone had told me this in my childhood, that actually marks don't matter. पैसा और marks का कोई connection नहीं है. पैसा कमाने का और marks का. Of course, I mean, there are two sides to the coin that is there. But if someone wants to make money, they don't necessarily have to do good in school.
Not anymore.
It kills confidence to such a level, because what is ingrained in us is तुम marks लाओ, go to IIT, IIM, वो तो ऊपर का filter हो गया, उसके नीचे तो हम जैसे तो मतलब जो मिले उस कॉलेज में चले गए. And then, so the mindset becomes कि this is the only path. You never explore anything else. Ki, as you mentioned, ki, go do stuff. In the periphery.
Right.
Explore stuff. वो होता ही नहीं है कभी.
वो नहीं होता है.
And now, when चलो ठीक है आधा career खत्म हो गया, then you realize कि यार पैसे कमाने का और ये studies का कोई connection नहीं था. And it's all about people. It's all about network. It's all about exploring the world.
It's all about doing something that is valuable to someone else, that someone enjoys, and that someone is willing to compensate or reward you for, and that's where you earn your money.
Absolutely. There's a nice phrase for it. I have it. It's called creating the luck.
Creating the luck.
You create your own luck by doing this stuff.
Yes. So luck is not a bunch of coincidences. Luck is
you do stuff and it
do stuff and it comes together.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because वही है ना, मतलब और क्या है? And like in general, somehow I feel people don't realize. And coming to the last point, and you remember when we were like heading out, when we met last, I was talking about osmosis.
Yes.
Learning from osmosis is something that we generally don't
We
think about.
don't think about.
See, right? Either a school teacher or a professor or a book or a podcast
or your
or a
manager.
video. It's always a person teaching you something. I mean, of course, you can look at a tiger and learn something, but but what else? Like, वो तो क्या ही सीखोगे? Ultimately, we are learning through osmosis. Someone's taking that knowledge and putting it across to you.
Yeah, it's available.
You're absorbing it.
Yeah, you need to absorb.
Correct. And the osmosis that happens in real world. चलो ठीक है, COVID सब खत्म हो गया. Thank God, like everyone's meeting in person now. But the amount of learning that can happen by just surrounding yourself with the right people can create amazing opportunities. So it creates a better luck. It creates an osmosis where you never fall short. You'll never feel thirsty because there's always more knowledge to have. So coming to the point where, and again, nothing against any generation, so to say. Even in fact, I've seen a lot of older millennials, people my age also, who are so, very solo. कि उठो, office जाओ, you have very specific set of relationship with the office colleagues कि ये मेरा office colleague है. And then you go home. And then you have specific set of friends that you only meet on weekends. And that's their life. Right? Their periphery just ends there. You do not explore anything beyond that. How do you learn? My point being, you explore, like, do stuff as we were talking about, create more dots. That also includes get to know more people. And once you know more people, the osmosis that happens, the stuff you learn from others. I learned so much from you about biofuel. Very few interactions I've had with other people who are from the biofuel industry. मेरा knowledge उतना ही limited था. So I'm hoping I'll keep learning from you a lot more about biofuel industry, about photography as well. And that's what happens, right? So, creating luck, this osmosis is something that's very undervalued in India. कि तुम बस अपना काम करो, कोई ये नहीं सिखाता कि become friends. अच्छी संगत रखो is all about, don't do drugs and don't drink and don't smoke. That's all it is. No one says, hang out with these people, learn from them.
Yeah,
do something good.
Hang out with interesting people. Hang out with people who are willing to share experiences, willing to share things like this. And yeah, knowledge will be around. You got to soak it. You got to be a sponge. And small digression though. I just remembered something about learning from unlikely sources. Okay, and this is an experience which happened recently. So we have an app, and we expected the farmers to use our app, and we had a way of where you log in, and we had done it with OTP. OTP is so you enter your number, get an OTP, you log in.
Simplest way, no need for passwords.
No need for password, right? No need to remember password, anything. So I thought in my wisdom that this is the right way to do this, until when people stopped using this, and I couldn't figure out why people are scared of OTP. Till when I so went out, met people, and one of the guys, he was a transporter, he said, नहीं वो अमिताभ बच्चन है ना, वो बोलता है OTP नहीं बताने का. Why is Amitabh Bachchan an enemy of my app now?
Correct.
So apparently there was a time when Amitabh used to do these public service messages for RBI which says don't share your OTP. Now that is don't share if someone sends an OTP, and valid now also, but for someone who's not very experienced, not tech savvy, OTP becomes a scare word.
A red flag.
Red
flag,
flag.
Red flag.
Red flag. OTP. So OTP for your own login also is red flag. The funny thing was, he said, आप ले लो और आप login कर दो. so that kind of told me that this insight would not have come unless we kind of reached out, and nobody would have told me if I had asked them. This came as a conversation. It came by hanging around.
Correct.
What you said, right? Go and meet, hang around.
Correct.
And also made me realize that it's a basic phone. There is a lot of competition on his phone for apps. And so we pivoted from there into a WhatsApp bot.
Oh, Acha.
because
So they're
everybody has
comfortable with
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. हाँ.
Everybody has WhatsApp. They're comfortable with WhatsApp. So you chat with a bot, you don't realize it's a bot. But
हाँ,
today
उनको
with
लगता है it's a
AI, you
human. हाँ.
can get there.
अभी तो voice
But
भी आ जाएगा.
अभी तो voice
apart
भी
from
आ जाएगा.
this.
You
Yeah.
will be calling somebody and it will be a machine at the
Yeah.
other end, which
Yeah.
you don't realize is probably talking to you in Bhojpuri in the accent
हाँ.
that you are talking in. Yeah. So, so to your point,
Amazing.
this learning will come from unexpected sources.
हाँ. Correct.
And
You have to
you
keep
got to be
hitting
your antenna has to be
places.
open,
Yeah. Correct.
right?
So true. So true.
This antenna is not open, as I said, for the mass produced or the someone who's gone through this corporate grind. It is open to people who have done many different things, who have done
So true.
wacky things in their life, who may not have got 70%, 80%, 90% marks, but who are open to experiences.
So true. So true. And I think that's what, matters more towards the end. Like I feel, you know how you sit in the office for a long time and then you feel like, just going out for a walk. You need that break from the monotony. And I think in life, everything will become monotonous if we keep doing that. So you have to hit like a different stroke. You have to try out new stuff. You have to meet different people. वो चाहे तुम्हारे customers हैं नहीं है whatever, but you never know what an unlikely insight you might get
You
from
might
someone.
get, yeah.
Crazy stuff. This was such an amazing conversation, Ashwin.
Yeah, wonderful talking to you, and I learned a bit of podcasting from you.
Oh, welcome to the gang.
And yeah, as you said, maybe this is something for me to try as well.
Absolutely, you should start
share
one.
what I'm doing. I'll take these tips from you how to get started.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
I loved
And,
it. I loved it here.
Okay, I'm gonna also put your Instagram link in the YouTube description. So do check out his
Sure.
photography. Fantastic photographer, and loves carrying a camera. Although today he didn't have a camera with him, but we were talking like for a long time before we started rolling about photography and stuff. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe, KJ. If you like the conversation, do check out the other videos. The fantastic conversations on this podcast. So do check it out. And अगले episode में मिलते हैं. My name is Anirudh. See you in the next one.